Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney. Oh my God, excuse me, I just burped. That was gross. That was a really bad beginning to my podcast, especially to those that have never listened to me before. Actually, those who have never listened to me before, that was actually a good intro because you'll get the idea that this is not the most conventional podcast. I record from my cell phone. Yep, my cell phone. I do not, so you just get audio. I used to have an intro and an outro. If you listen to my earlier podcasts, you will get to hear my intro and outro, and then that got all boogered up, and that's a long story. All you need to know is it got boogered up, and it's been, I'm sure that I could fix it if I did my podcast from my laptop. But again, something you need to know is I don't like sitting. When I tried to do a podcast from my laptop and I had to sit there the entire time, I was going bat bananas crazy. Absolutely losing my mind. I cannot sit and talk like that. And again, I am a Generation X kind of gal, so I'm used to being on landline phones with 10,000 foot cords where you walked around and got it tangled all over because everybody walked around. And then cell phones became a thing, and I pace around when I talk. I walk around when I talk. I don't sit and talk on the phone. That makes me crazy. So I wanted to do a podcast on my cell phone because I could walk around. Of course, the problems that come with that is you hear everything in the background. You hear gravel, you hear leaves crunching, you hear, noise from the cell phone. Sometimes I sound muffled. And then again, my intro and outro got all fucked up. And so it's poor quality. It's really poor quality. And I should absolutely do editing. And I don't, because I'm not doing this for anything other than just I can't sleep. I have had severe insomnia for as long as I can remember. And I figured, hey, if I'm going to be up, why not just, I've tried listening to music. I've tried writing in a journal. I have tried going on walks. And those things help, sure. But sometimes when you can't sleep, or at least speaking for me, when I can't sleep, I have so much going on in my brain, I need to talk it out. And of course, I can't wake people up at, 3 a.m. and just start talking to them. So unfortunately for you guys, that means I babble on this phone and I say my thoughts and I talk about the things that are keeping me up. And sometimes they're politics. Sometimes it's family. Sometimes it is grief. Grief over people that have passed. Sometimes it's talking about relationships. Sometimes it's everything. I literally talk about every single thing. It's just whatever's been keeping me up, And I'm definitely not everyone's cup of tea because I don't filter myself. If I hurt your feelings, I don't know what to tell you. I just say it like it is. And sometimes it may be directed at something that bothers you. Sometimes I'm going to say something that is going to offend you. And, but again, I say this to everybody. I am an equal opportunity person. I pick on everybody. I pick on all countries. I pick on all religions. I pick on all races. I pick on male and females. I pick on Democrats, Republicans, liberals. I pick on everybody. So I'm an equal opportunity picker honor, but you're just going to get a lot of noise in the background. And sometimes that noise is going to be lovely, like crickets and frogs and coyotes and rivers and, birds. Other times you're going to hear me with poop bags, the poop bag, and you're going to hear leaves crunching, and you're going to hear me winded because I have been walking up hills, and sometimes my voice is going to be muffled and you don't have my intro and outro, and it's just going to be a hot mess. And there's going to be times I digress a lot and I get off the beaten path, and not every episode is going to hold your intrigue, of course. But I'm always going to be real. I'm always going to be me. I'm always going to tell it how I feel. God damn it, the clouds are all coming in. There's so many clouds coming in now, and the eclipse is going to be, oh, why? Come on. So many clouds are coming. Seriously. Oh, see, so there's an example. Digress. Squirrel. But I'm going to be me, and I'm going to tell it from my perspective, and I am not always going to say things in the most kind way. Sometimes I get fired up. But that's what this podcast is about, the things that keep me awake. And again, I started this podcast originally because of the policies that were put in place by Democrats regarding COVID. I was kept away from my mom during COVID, and she ended up passing away from being severely septic because she did not get the treatment that she needed. There were not enough people working. And I started this podcast over my grief and anger toward the Democrats and their murderous ways and the way that they love to make money, and they care about money and greed and power more than American citizens, more than people living or dying. People are just, I said dying. People are just pawns in their game. People mean nothing to politicians. They just don't. We are just here to, what in the hell? That's so crazy. Okay, so right now, there are these thick clouds around the moon, and yet the clouds are like rainbow in color. The clouds that are around the moon are rainbow in color right now, but I don't want there to be clouds because that means that the frickin' eclipse is not going to be able to be seen, and that is going to really chap my hide. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so I started this podcast originally because of that, and because, again, I couldn't sleep, so I figured, hey, I'm sure there are other people out there that have sleep issues, and there are other people out there that have intrusive thoughts and have anxiety, and maybe we can bond over that. I have a lot of anxiety because I have had a very not so great life. I've had a lot of things happen to me, and I have dealt with a lot in my life, and so nighttime has always been kind of odd for me. I used to sleepwalk as a kid real bad, really bad. I would sleepwalk, and I talked to my sleep, and I had night terrors, the whole thing. I did that until I was like 15 years old, for real. I haven't sleptwalked, at least I don't think. I mean, my partner has not told me that I sleepwalk, so I don't think I do. Anybody who's ever been in the same building as me, been in the same house as me when I've been asleep, no one has said that I sleepwalk, so I don't think I do, and I don't think I talk in my sleep anymore. But I have just always had issues with sleeping. I can sleep during the day. And I'm not scared of the dark. I'm not. I'm currently outside. Granted, it's not late at night, but I've been known to, when I lived at the coast, I would not be able to sleep. I'd be going through a lot, and so I would sneak out and I would walk down to the beach, which probably wasn't the safest thing in the world, but the beach was like, 6 blocks away. And I'd walk down and just sit and lay in the sand and just look up at the stars, and I would listen to the waves, and I would hear, I would just listen to the waves, and I'd breathe in the salty air and walk back. And I've always gone outside at night. It's not because I'm scared of the dark. I kind of need the noise, I think, is more what it is. Different kinds of noise. Well, I can sleep like a baby if I'm camping at night or if I'm out in a treehouse. I've talked about this many times. When I was in Belize and we slept in a treehouse out in the jungle, I didn't care that there were tarantulas and snakes and geckos and shit. I loved the sound of the jungle. I just love when I'm out camping, out in nature. I can sleep like a baby, usually, out in nature. I used to sneak out when I lived in the city. I would sneak out, and we had an attic that was partially done, and you could climb out the window and get onto the roof. And the roof at that part of the roof anyway, was fairly flat. So we would climb out there on hot summer nights and just kind of lay out there. And I would do that in the middle of the night all the time. And I've always been independent. I do these things on my own. I just go for walks in the middle of the night, which is stupid, not very safe, especially in the city. But I don't know. Actually, maybe the city is safer because there's more lights and more security. But I don't know. I started this podcast because I thought other people could identify with intrusive thoughts, with anxiety. And I just figured, hey, let's talk about it. And I'm sitting here staring at the sun and all the moon, staring at the moon and all the clouds around it. And it is so fucking weird and creepy looking right now. If you guys are in the West Coast, go out and stand outside. Except I don't know when I'm going to air this podcast, so never mind, don't do that. By the time this podcast gets out, you're not going to be able to go outside and do this. But it is insane. The clouds around it look like you could go into a portal, and they're like orange and yellow and a little bit of blue and purple. And like it looks like you can go into this portal, and it's crazy. But I'm getting really angry because I want to be able to see the eclipse tonight. And now all these dang clouds are getting in the way. They're ruining the party. Anyway, I've done a lot of podcasts on being grateful and a lot of podcasts on trying to find the good, being positive. I have been doing podcasts on political things, and I know I call people subhuman garbage a lot, which I'm sure does not make people feel great, but don't be subhuman garbages. You know what I'm saying? How about be less offended by me calling people out for being subhuman garbages and stop acting like subhuman garbages? How about that? Stop acting like narcissists. Shout out to the prank caller. What? Stop making everything into verses. It's not always verses, us versus them, this or that. Why does everything have to be black or white, this way or that way? It's okay for people to have mixed feelings. I call myself a conservative hippie. I say conservative hippie because there are some liberal point of views that I have. There are more conservative point of views, but I've got some liberal point of views. And it doesn't have to be this way or that way. You know, death penalty. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I see a lot of reasons why the death penalty is good. I see reasons why the death penalty is bad. So I don't see why people are so hell-bent on being like, you're either this way or you're that way. You're either for us or against us. I am seeing a lot of good and evil. I'm seeing a lot of black and white, but I know that there's gray. There's a lot of gray. And people just like to focus on, again, the us versus them instead of the, hey, let's try to figure out a way to come together, find a common ground, figure out that common ground, and then go from there. It's okay to agree to disagree. It's okay to have a conversation, an adult conversation. It's okay to have a different opinion. We don't have to frickin' assassinate someone because we have a difference of opinion. We don't need to scream and yell because we have a difference of opinion. When did it become so wrong to have a difference of opinion? And when did we start deciding to call people cis women and cis men? Stop fucking calling me cis this, cis. Don't call me a cis woman. I'm a woman. I am a woman. Why are we making new names for things? We're just making up words. When did it become cool to just make up words and then insist that people call you or go by these made up fucking words? I don't get it. We're just going around making up shit and then telling everybody else that's how it is. Brian Regan, if you guys have not heard of Brian Regan, he's a fucking hilarious comic, so hilarious. And as much as I cuss like a sailor, but man, I cannot stand it when comics just stand up and cuss the whole time. It drives me insane. I am actually very prudish when it comes to how people dress. I don't like people dressing remotely hoochie. I think you are just giving it all up and you leave nothing for the imagination. And I don't like it when comedians just stand up and cuss. But Brian Regan cracks me up, and he does this one thing on, here's what the whales are saying. And it's like, you have to listen to it, but it's like, here's what the whales are saying. And they're like, oh, okay, thanks. And I'm like, how do we know that this guy's right? He's just telling us that that's what the whales are saying. How can we trust that that's what the whales are saying? Anyways, it's actually a really funny stand-up. Did you hear that frog a second ago? He's not doing his thing because he can hear me. I'm scaring him. I'm too loud. I needed to do a podcast at night because I haven't in a long time, and I wanted the crickets and stuff and the frogs to be out. I think it's too early for crickets right now. They're not out anyway, but the frogs are, and there's one, but I'm talking too much. Anyway, so my point is, I don't have a point, actually. I rarely have a point. I just kind of go with the flow, and I get on here, and again, sometimes I have it planned out on a topic, and other times I have no idea. Now you're going to hear me crunching rocks. I'm trying to go over here because I want the frog to start up again, but like me moving 5 feet away somehow means the frog isn't going to hear me. God, I'm a dumbass. I'm like, oh, I just moved 5 feet away. The frog's not going to hear me now. Anywho, I really don't have a whole lot except to say that I am excited because I get to go be with another customer, and I get to watch their 2 dogs, and I get to watch them for a little over a month. So that'll be crazy, except I'm away from my dogs. I'm going to be away from my dogs for a month, and that's going to be kind of a bummer, and I'm going to miss them. But I do get to go see them like once or twice while I'm gone. I get to see my pooches. But I get to go stay at a customer's house for 32 days and watch their 2 dogs. And that will be exciting. Again, I love what I'm doing because I get to experience different things. I get to see different things. I get to be around different neighborhoods, around different people. My office is always changing. I don't have the same thing that I'm looking at every single day. I don't have the same schedule every single day, you know? I love this. I'm just feeling happy. I'm just feeling happy. And then I get to throw in my photography. I get to throw in my dog training. I get to throw in my grooming. I still get to groom dogs. I love that I'm still grooming dogs. I love that I still get to do what I was doing, but it's 2.0. It was doing what I was doing, but 2.0. Because again, now I don't have an office. I don't have a set schedule. I'm working for me. So all the proceeds go to me, and I don't have the overhead. And I am not stationary, and I can still, go on vacations and stuff like that. And so I've earned this. I have earned it. And so many people out there have been at jobs where they have worked their asses off, and then some little asshole comes in and thinks that they can take over. You know what? If that happens, let them take over. That just means you have the opportunity now to go find your own path, to go find your own way. You don't have to take their shit anymore. Go find your own path. It is so important for people to find a job. I know that not everybody has this opportunity. Sometimes you have to just take what you can. I've been there. I have had a million jobs where I had to take whatever I could. But I've also had a million jobs where I made really, really good money. I have actually had many jobs where I've made great money. And I have had awesome coworkers. And I loved my job. And so now I'm back to a place. And then for a long time, I didn't. And now I can finally breathe again. And I love it. I mean, I'm outside breathing in that fresh air while working. How amazing is that, So I hope that everybody gets to have the opportunity. Again, sometimes you have to put your dues in. It took me a long time to get to this spot, and I hope it doesn't take everybody else as long as it took me. But I wish you nothing but success. I wish you success. I wish you happiness. There's a dog barking in the background. It's not the one that I'm watching, just so you know. That's a different dog. It's a neighbor's dog. I am out in the country, but there's a neighbor that they train dogs over there. But anyways, Squirrel. I am just grateful. And I'm going to keep doing these podcasts talking about being grateful because I don't want to always be the asshole, cranky podcaster. I don't want to be the podcaster that's doomy and gloomy and just always boo-hoo and cranky. I don't want to be the cranky old lady. I am going to end up being the cranky old lady that's like got the porch, sitting on the porch whittling. And I'm like, get off my porch. And people are going to be like, oh my God, I dare you. It's like the Sandlot. I dare you to go over to mean old Courtney's house. And you guys throw a baseball over and people are like dared to go over to my house. And I'm on the porch whittling, spitting, chewing tobacco with a canteen. No, a pontoon. No, a pontoon's a boat. A canteen. No, that's what you drink out of. A spittoon. I think it's a spittoon. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, spitting, whittling. Nah, that's not going to be me. That's not me. I'm a pretty freaking happy person. It's just if you fuck with me, yeah, I'm not so happy. I'm not so nice. But that's how everybody is, right? But you know what I'm happy about? You know what does make me ecstatic? You know what makes me freaking ecstatic? You. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Who you? Who me? You. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, times infinity, to infinity and beyond. Thank you, times infinity, for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate every single person out there because Lord knows there are a million other podcasts out there. There are better podcasts. Lord knows there are far, far better podcasts than mine. And yet you still choose to listen to me. You still choose to tune in to my podcast. Even when I'm ranting and raving, even when I'm being batshit crazy, even when I'm making no sense, even when I am boring, you're still fucking tuning in, even when I can't talk and I'm AOCing out. You're still listening because you rock, because you have mental fortitude. That's why. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you greatly. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, shout it from the rooftops. Anyway, thank you so much. Until next time. And prank caller again. If you need a hug, I'm here.